Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, for a very informative show today. We are doing show number 2 on the topic of democracy, so it'll be a very, very good show. The topic today is democracy in the school system. Interesting, isn't it? The first show, we addressed balance of power. Balance of power. We talked about the 3 branches of government and how this 3 branches gives us the separation of power, so it brings the dynamics of a democracy. And democracy, Abraham Lincoln said something very, very amazing. He said that democracy, in essence, is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Abraham Lincoln said this. It's very, very powerful, I think. It's a very a very good way to summarize what democracy is. Democracy is nothing but government of the people and by the people and for the people. And today we want to bring these concepts of democracy and see how they play out in the school system. Because again, keep in mind, democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people. We typically think of democracy more like in politics, electing a president, electing congressmen, electing higher officials in the branches, primarily of, the executive branch, primarily the president, and then legislators. But democracy, as we saw in our first show, it goes into basically all the aspects of our lives, frankly. And let me remind you that this show is being Facebook Live. It's being Facebook Live. If you haven't follow our page, I encourage you to go to AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection on Facebook, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Follow our page and also share the page with others. We really want to reach thousands of people in our state and even beyond. Let me introduce our guests. We have 2 guests today. One is in person, and we have also another one on the phone. Let me start with ladies first, right?
Ladies first. Ladies.
And by the way, this is going to be your mic, so kind of speak close to it.
Sí.
Francisca Montoya, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Francisca, thank you so very much for joining. I know you are taking care of mom, and I really appreciate that you are willing to, in the midst of this endeavor of yours of taking care of mom, that you are still willing to join by phone. First of all, thank you. Welcome so much for joining, Francisca.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I am indeed honored to have been invited to participate in this discussion that we're going to be having this afternoon about democracy and how does it play out in real time in our community and why it's so important.
Thank you. Before I introduce my second guest, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? I mean, take a couple minutes. I always like to highlight our Latino professionals and folks, and this is a good opportunity. Tell us just a little bit about what you do, the realm of your employment, career, etc.
Well, I was born in Idaho to migrant farm worker parents who moved when I was 5 to the original square mile of Surprise, Arizona, where I went to public school at Dysart. I am a product of the public school system. I attended, after Dysart, I attended and graduated from Glendale Community College. That's part of the 10 community colleges that form the Maricopa County Community College District. And then from there, I transferred to Arizona State University, another public university, and graduated. And currently am halfway through my master's at Penn State I'm doing a master's in community and economic development. I've been active in my community for well over 30 years, serving on many local groups and organizational board of directors. Currently, I'm employed for the last 7.5 years at Raza Development Fund. My position there, I am the Director of Strategic Community Initiatives. Raza Development Fund, commonly known as RDF, is a financial institution. We're what are commonly known as CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions, and we provide financing, we provide capital to organizations across the country in affordable housing projects, in community health care centers, and community facilities. So I'm in the business of working with individuals and communities to develop and build wealth within communities and assist families and the working poor.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Like I said, we always like to showcase and celebrate accomplishments from our Latino community. Congratulations, and thank you again for joining our show today.
Thank you.
Now I have Freddy Villalon.
Sí,
right?
Freddy Villalon.
Freddy Villalon. He's a board member of Tallison. I didn't say...
Sí. Tallison Union High School.
Right.
No,
I didn't say Tucson. I usually confuse the T's.
Bueno.
Tallison Union High School District for 18 years. Freddy.
18 years, yes,
Can
sir.
you, would you mind taking a couple minutes just to tell us a little bit about yourself? What, a little bit, just like what you did, where you were born, went to school, your profession, career, etc.
Thank you, David. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be here today to discuss democracy and education and what we can do to empower our families to get more involved. I was born in Merced, California. I am also a migrant field worker. My parents were working up there in Northern California when Mama had me, and I'm born in Merced, California, but raised here in Arizona in the Tallison farming community at the time. Went through the public schools, the elementary schools, Tallison Elementary, Tallison High School. Also worked in the field for many years. And in high school, when my parents divorced, I had dropped out of high school, started working in the fields full time. And I remember in the afternoon around 2 o'clock when we were working in the fields, I'd see the buses and I'd say, oh, I wish I could still be in school. And I remember Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Garcia.
Amazing.
Dijeron, ¿por qué estás aquí? Regrésate a escuela. Nosotros no tenemos la oportunidad de estudiar, pero you're young. Go back to school, mijo. This is our destiny, but not yours.
Wow.
So with those words of encouragement, I was able to go back to school. Eventually graduated from Tallison Union High School, and then I was recruited from Glendale Community College to go to school there. Got some scholarships and grants, attended GCC, graduated from GCC, then went on to ASU and graduated from ASU. And one of the proudest moments of my life was seeing my mom when she's there at the university ceremony as I'm receiving my diploma. So empowerment is key. And with the love and support of my teachers, my community, my mom, that's why I'm here today as a principal and as a governing board member.
Amazing. We have a couple minutes, and let me see. Let me come back to you, Francisca. Tell us just briefly, because we have to go on a break shortly. Are you aware that your involvement in the community is part of the democracy? How aware are you of that?
Well, I grew up understanding as a young child that each individual has a duty and a responsibility to be an active citizen. Each individual has a voice, and our democracy depends on our active participation. It's not just going out to vote. It's getting involved in your community. It's, for some people, it may be running for office, or like Freddie and myself, we're both governing school board members. I've been on my school board now. This is my 9th year, and my school board is kindergarten through 8th grade. But democracy in its simplest form to me is every individual taking an active participation in the decisions that affect their lives.
Right. So I mean, as a governing board of school board, I assume that you participate in meetings to kind of shape and make decisions about how the district is supposed to progress and meet the needs of the students, correct?
Yes, as governing school board members, our responsibility include we are the body, if you will, of a small core group of governing school board members that actually hire the superintendent for the school district. We also approve the budget, so we get to decide where every cent that we receive in our school district, we get to decide how those resources are allocated.
Amazing.
And we also get to decide. Policy. In other words, how are we going to govern each school? What are those rules and regulations that are going to govern our school in an equitable way? And then the fourth major responsibility is that we actually have the ability to tax within our community. We have the ability to call for elections for either a bond election or an override election. And we ask the homeowners in our school districts if they're willing to increase slightly a tax that will bring financial resources for youth in the school district. So those are the four main larger areas of responsibilities and authority that we have as school board members.
And Francisca, you do all that and you get like $1 million a year or something like that?
We, as school board members, are the only publicly elected officials that do not get paid.
Amazing.
So we are volunteers.
Of course.
So individuals that decide to run for school boards, we have to launch the same type of campaign that other publicly elected officials do. We have to go out in the community and collect signatures on petitions. We have to encourage homeowners and residents in our respective community to vote for us. But no, once we're elected, we do not get paid. We serve as volunteers.
Talk about democracy. Thank you so much. Stay with us, Francisca, and all of you who are joining the show today. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. The topic today, democracy in the school system. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. I say this often. I know I have one of the best jobs. I mean, can you imagine to conduct a show and bring in the experts and have them provide such a great information? I am just so encouraged to see that democracy, it's in different spheres, right? I mean, it's in politics and it's in elections. I mean, it's in Congress. It's in legislation, at the legislature. But then there's also democracy in the school system, and I've been told by several board members that this is a crucial. Yes. I mean, even with Jerry Pastor, who is helping us produce these shows, and who is here with us, you know, you can't see her, but she's here. She's mentioned many times how critical school boards, and running for school boards are. And think about it. This is the second show on democracy, and she wanted to address these matters. It must be important. Yes. So, Freddie, same question to you. I'm just amazed. Again, board member is a volunteer position, and just by listening to Francisca, one can tell how involved a board member is. You don't get paid. I mean, talk about democracy. You know, democracy in action. Can you kind of relate to us your impression about how your function in the school system? How aware are you that you are carrying out the democracy that we all talk so much about?
Absolutely, David. Great question. And as a board member, I definitely feel that democracy is in place and that we have an opportunity as a governing board member to do what's right for our kids, because that's why we're here. Right. We want our children to be successful. We want to empower them. We want to empower our families so that they can graduate, continue their education, go to ASU, even U of A for that matter, but go to continue their education. I remember first being elected to the governing board. I was a young governing board member. I believe I was like 27 years old. Wow. And we were faced with some critical decisions in our district. We had a principal that was very popular at the time, and but 80% of our Hispanic male boys were dropping out. 80% of the Hispanic boys in this particular high school were dropping out.
Amazing.
So we know that we had to we had to make some changes and set some policies that would encourage and keep our children in school and allow them to graduate. And through the grace of God, that's happening. Our graduation rates in the high 90s, so the children are graduating or continuing their education. But as a governing board member, you're able to make an impact and assure that our families, that our children, that our community are receiving their very best educational opportunities at every level.
Right. Francisca, if you don't mind, can you kind of tell us the sessions? I assume that you meet, right, and you have sessions. How intense are those sessions where tough decisions have to be made? Can you kind of tell us what, how those sessions go? Are they long? Are they with passion? I mean, just kind of relate to us what goes on in those meetings, if you don't mind.
Sure. At a school governing board meeting, obviously it's open to the public, so it's posted at least 24 hours. And most school boards meet on a regular basis. In other words, my school board meets the second Tuesday of the month at a set time, so that homeowners in that and residents in that school district know that if they want to come to a school board meeting, that they know the date and time and the frequency of those meetings so that they can attend. Because they're open to the public, we have an agenda, but we also have a section on the agenda that is open to public comment. So any person living in the school district can come to those meetings and voice their opinion on any matter they wish to address. Our meetings sometimes can be 2 hours. Sometimes they can be much longer. It depends on the items on the agenda, and it depends on how robust the discussion is. There are some school governing boards that meet every 2 weeks. There are some others that only meet once a month. But every school board member receives a very large packet right before the school board meeting. And, it takes me 2 to 3 hours to go through the packet thoroughly and highlight any questions I may have on any contract, on any proposed schedule changes, on any bids that we're going out to, whether we're going to maybe fix roofs at a particular school, and we're contracting out with companies that are going to come and fix the roofs. Those are the kinds of decisions that we make on a regular basis at our school board meetings. So our school board members have the opportunity to ask the superintendent and the administrative staff any question they would like to ask with regard to any activity happening at the school district that's on the agenda. So it does require time commitment, because not only do you go to school board meetings, but you also go to school functions. So, for example, some school districts may have 8th grade promotion. You go to those activities. You throughout the year, there are many parents' activities that happen throughout the calendar year, and school board members are invited to attend. Many times there are field trips. Many times you have to go out and visit schools and see how they're doing. So it's a lot more than just coming to a regular monthly or bi-weekly school board meeting.
And all this as a volunteer.
Yes.
Correct. All of this as a volunteer.
This is amazing. Can you just briefly tell us your experience? How many years have you been a member, a board member?
This is my 9th year on my respective school board.
Can you relate just briefly how it was in the beginning in terms of understanding and the, if you will, the learning curve, and how it is now? I mean, what have you experienced in those 9 years in terms of coming in as a newbie and then now being more experienced after 9 years?
When I came in, I decided to run for school board because back in 2010, or 2009, I was really upset that the voters in my school district did not pass an override because I knew the consequences and how much programs would be cut in our school district. And as someone who has a teaching background, I understood what it meant for our students. And so I decided, I believe in the motto of Nike, just do it. So if you don't like what's happening, then you need to be part of the solution. So I decided to run. When I first came on board, it was a big learning curve.
Right.
There was a lot to learn, understanding how to ask questions. One of the great things about being a school board member is that you have the opportunity to go to trainings, to learn everything about what how a school should run, and what are the major duties and responsibilities that you have, and what is the information that you need in order to make informed decisions that are going to positively impact the children and their ability to learn in school.
Thank you, Francisca. And now, Freddie, how about you? How has been your experience, coming in and then now you're 18.
18 years.
It's 9 times 2.
Yeah. 9 times.
That's a lot of years.
I started when I was 7.
So does that mean you have to that you have to go through re-elections how often?
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
Yeah, every 4 years.
So can you kind of relate so that the public kind of understands what you have gone through in this 18 years?
Oh, in this 18
brief,
years, in brief, one of the things that has happened, what encouraged me in democracy and education was the empowerment of an amazing lady in our community, Miki Diaz, that was going door to door gathering signatures because she was encouraging members to run for the board, community members to run for the board. And the biggest concern we had at the time for our community was to make sure that our children were staying in school, and that our families had access to post-education. So we petitioned as a young 19-year-old kid. I'm out there helping Miki Diaz, getting signatures, getting candidates, encouraging candidates to run for the governing board at the time, with the mission, with the vision of providing alternative education, continuing education for the children that were dropping out, because we knew there was a large number of children that were dropping out of our schools.
Right.
And that was part of our vision, part of our mission of the community back then. And through the grace of God, we've been able to successfully complete that mission and keep our children in school so they can continue their education.
Amazing. Let me continue with you, Freddie. Why is it so critical that Latinos are part of the governing board?
It is critical because we want to feel empowered. We want to empower others. We want to be able to make a difference. We want to be able to connect to our community and visit our families, visit our abuelitas, our tias in the community and ask them. One of the things that I did first when I visited Mrs. Garcia, who in the mid-90s was in her 90s, and I sat and comimos pan dulce in her little kitchen. And here I'm a young governing board member just visiting the families in our community, and I asked her, what was it important for you? And she said, quiero que mis nietos gradeen de la escuela, quiero que terminan sus estudios.
Right.
Graduating from school. What is it that was important to our community back then? That our kids are empowered, that our families are empowered, and that our children are graduating and continuing their education.
So are there decisions that are made in the as a board that if you're not a Latino, you might not understand the needs of Latinos? Is there such a scenario which makes it so critical that we have Latino representation in school boards?
What I think makes it so critical in having Latinos, Hispanos, Mexicanos in our school board is that we can connect with the community. You understand the culture. You understand the values of our families, of our community, of our children. And it makes a difference when you're establishing policies at the governing board level, when you're hiring administrators, your principals, your leaders at the schools that are going to make a difference for our families, for our children, and for our community, because you can connect.
Francisca, we have to go on on another break, but I know you want to add something. Can you? Would you like to add something about the importance of Latino board members being at the table of power, for lack of a better term?
Absolutely. In Arizona today, over 60% of the children in schools from kindergarten to 12th grade are students of color. And an overwhelming majority of those students are Latinos. And that number is only going to continue to grow as our Latino community continues to add more population here in the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
That is critically important that we have not just teachers, but that we have administrators and we have governing board members that are sitting at the table making these critical decisions, because as was said earlier, we understand what the needs are of our community. We understand what the needs are of our parents and of our students, and we have a better understanding as to the kinds of resources that are needed to address some of the issues that our students are facing day in and day out at school.
Thank you so much. Stay with us. We're going to take another short break. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The topic today, democracy in the school system. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you so very much for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Another very important topic, democracy in the school system. I'm learning a lot. Democracy has so many aspects. A lot of times, democracy, we kind of link it to elections only. But elections, yes, it's part of it, but at a very high level. The presidential elections, which, the 2020 elections are coming, and then your congressman. But democracy it's basically, again, government. This is what Abraham Lincoln said, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Did I get it right?
Muy bien.
The prepositions here. So I can tell that the functions of governing boards are just unbelievably important and crucial. But even in this function, there's an element of campaigning, if you will, an element of voting. And so what can you say about, and let me start with you, Freddie, about this matter of campaigning and getting votes, because you basically had to go out and ask people to vote for you, right?
Seguro que sí, David. It's very critical. It's important that we make an attempt to encourage our families, our mothers, our fathers, our abuelos, abuelitos to vote, because one vote can make a difference. We've won overrides, capital overrides, eminent overrides with just a few votes. And one of the best things that I experienced with my mom is when she was able to vote for me as an incoming governing board member, and then just having my mom feel empowered because she had never voted before, she had never been part of the process. She was born in Mexico. San Luis Potosí, only went to third grade, only had a third grade education. But the fact that we were able to encourage my mom, empower her, and the fact that she was able to take part of that voting process and then see me win an election, made such a difference for her, for me, for our community, because we wanted our women, our families, our abuelitas, our tias, our moms, our mamás to vote and make a difference in our community, in our neighborhood, and in our schools.
Yeah, thank you. I have a little note, and I obviously Jerry Pastor is with us today. Believe it or not, she's helping us with this show, not only to produce it but even to carry it out. And she just gave us a little quote that I thought, and I'm going to ask Francisca if you want to comment on this. She said something to the effect of the power of one person, one vote. The power of one person, one vote. And then she's all into this, which is obviously true. The Latina women are the ones who make things happen. They can persuade and convince the grandchildren and the children to register and to vote. They are just powerful in their influence. What do you have to say about that, Francisca?
Well, I can say that it's 100% true. I think that when people realize that the power of one basically means that every individual has the ability to make a difference. And in democracy, it's about speaking your voice. It's about participating in your community, as I said earlier. It's about going out to vote. It's about making sure that you are speaking out about issues that affect your community directly. And mothers are key to that. If you go to any school district and you go to the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association, it is 90 to 95% mothers that are taking part in organizing activities for children at schools. When you think about when there are teacher-parent conferences, the majority of the parents that show up to find out how their students are doing are mothers. And in fact, Dr. David Garcia from ASU did a recent study about a year ago on Latino students, and he said that the single most important and influential person in a child's life is their mother in their education, because it's the mother that from the very early age reads to the child. It's the mother that from the very early age takes the child and gets them registered to school and is constantly staying above what their children are doing in school. Every time there's an election, I am connecting with my two sons and asking them, did you register to vote?
Yes.
Did you register to vote early? Did you get your ballot? Have you turned it in? One of my sons votes at the poll, so the day before the election and the day of the election, I'm calling him, I'm texting him, I'm saying, mijo, did you get out to vote? Show me a picture with the little sticker that says I voted.
Wow.
Necesitamos prueba.
You want proof, huh?
Proof.
Encourage everybody that I'm around on elections to go out to vote, and that's the power of one.
Thank you. So, Freddie, what are we going to do with the males? I mean, obviously, it is more than clear. History will prove that, 1,000 times over, that women are just so influential in a child's life, in the family life. And then, obviously, first is the grandmother, is the grandma. I mean, I have great memories of both grandmas from my dad and my mom, and they're just so influential. But at the same time, we really want males to get on the ball, right? And
yes.
So what can we say to them? I mean, because a lot of times I believe women, they kind of do the things that needs to be done, but a lot of times guys are too calculating. Oh, it's not going to make any difference. Why am I going to? They're all corrupt. The system is this and that, right? Isn't that what males, a lot of times, that's our excuse. The system is corrupt. My vote is not going to make a big difference. But what are we going to do? I mean, is it true? I mean, can we still get things done in our democracy? And should we encourage males to also join the fun and the game and join the democracy, the democratic process?
Sí, seguro que sí. And like Francisca said, the importance of getting our moms and grandmothers involved in this process is key for the children, for the families. And as families, there's lots of sons, there's lots of grandsons that are out there. And what do we as males have to do? Listen to our abuelitas, listen to our madrecitas.
Right.
And votar.
Follow their example.
And follow their ejemplo. Que la educación es importante, votando es importante, because we could truly make a difference. Again, like I had mentioned earlier, 1 vote, 2 votes can make a difference in a successful override or capital override passing or not passing.
Right.
And that would mean programs that would have to be cut if we lost election based on 2 or 3 votes, which has happened in the past. So to answer that question, absolutely, our males can and will make a difference, and they need to be empowered to go out there and vote. And it only takes a short time. Puedes votar en la casa with un cafecito, unos panecitos, pan dulce, and vote from home. And then just mail it in the correo, in the mailbox, and you're good to go.
And that's another amazing thing, that nowadays we can vote by mail. We don't even, I mean, like I do. I get my ballot in the mail and I send it out. It's so practical. And sometimes my wife and I tend to come to we have a conversation, because I say, look, what good is it going to do to you vote one way, and then I'll how does that word? I cancel out your vote by voting. So we kind of argue, if you will. We talk about it, and then we say, let's vote on this by this way or that way, so that the best thing said. But anyway, anybody can vote any way they want. Right?
And perfect, David. And what better opportunity a tener una oportunidad con hablar con la familia, to have your sons there, your tíos, your abuelito, and have a discussion over what we're voting. What better opportunity? Right. As you're eating dinner, unos enchiladas, unos enchiladas suiza style. It's good to see that and to have that conversation and to connect with each other.
Right.
And know that we all make a difference.
Believe it or not, that's what we do at home. We do it in person, and sometimes we do it over the phone. Ulises, do we have somebody on the phone by a chance? No? Okay. So how about that, Francisca? I mean, should we encourage also the males to join the fund?
Absolutely. In order for our community to build wealth and become prosperous and have everybody do better in school and go on either to trade school or to a college or a university, our community isn't just women. Our community is everyone, the brothers, the dads, everyone. It's male and female. I mean, that's what makes up a family.
Right.
And one thing that is very prominent in our community is La Familia.
Right.
And La Familia is everybody, the brothers, the sisters, the mom, the dad, the half-brothers, the primos, the vecinos, los amigos, I mean, we are a very embracing community, and that involves both men and women, boys and girls, everyone together.
So I suppose, because I've heard it from family members, again, this kind of I guess the concept, it doesn't matter, my vote doesn't count, why bother? So should we just basically start the process and not worry about how much my vote will, but just kind of get a taste, start maybe giving voting and then kind of getting a taste of it and gradually moving into a more comprehensive participation in our democracy? Because again, I think the first point is important, that getting started, and then this matter of, it doesn't count. They're going to do whatever they want. So how do we bypass that? Briefly, I have to go on my last break. How do we bypass that kind of rationale?
Okay, David, this is Francisca. I would say that the Latino community has been growing since the 1950s in Arizona, and it continues today. We have for the last 15 to 20 years started to see more Latinos get elected into office, whether it's school board or a city council election or the county or even in Congress.
Right.
So we're starting to see that, and we're starting to see that every time there's an election, there's more and more Latinos becoming registered to vote, especially immigrants who are registering to become citizens and are seeing the politics in this country and how it is affecting them on their daily basis.
Right.
So therefore, they are becoming more and more encouraged to become citizens and get registered to vote and go out to vote for the first time. That's only going to continue to grow. And so where in the past, where we were so few in numbers, yes, there was a lot of apathy. But I think that the activism that we're seeing now in so many organizations that are out there knocking on doors and getting people to register to vote, that number is increasing. We're seeing a lot of momentum. We're seeing a lot of movimiento in that area. And that is changing people's attitudes and understanding that their vote does count.
Thank you, Francisca. Are you going to be able to join the last segment, or you got to go now?
I have to go. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, thank you, Francisca Montoya, for joining us. And we're going to take our last break. Stay with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Topic today, democracy in the school system. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you very much for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. And the topic is democracy in the school system. The more I do these shows on democracy, the more I understand democracy. I'm the first to benefit from these shows. I learn a lot from my experts, our guests here. Let me remind all of you that this is the second show on democracy. We are addressing this. We took this theme of democracy, and we are having a show every first Thursday of the month. And then we follow the following Tuesday with a replica in Spanish. Sí. So next Tuesday, este martes, vamos a hacer este programa mismo con otros invitados, pero el mismo tema en español. So we're going to do again the first Thursday, democracy in English, and then in Spanish the following Tuesday. And I would like to also give lots of credit to the Arizona Adelitas. This is a nonprofit organization that we met, and they are basically producing these shows. They're very helpful, at least to me. It seems like at least a couple of weeks out of the month, I get a breather because I have to do everything in terms of producing the show, hosting it. But once the democracy topic is addressed, the Arizona Adelitas, especially Jerry Pastor, and Guadalupe Sosa, actually, the two of them, they are very, very helpful in producing these shows. You know, they come up with the topic, and then they find our experts, our guests. So thank you to Jerry and Guadalupe and Arizona Adelitas. If you want to get a hold of them, they are very active in the community. They are a group of women. I understand a group of women that form a nonprofit organization. And if you want to get a hold of them, for now, reach out to me, to the page at AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. If you have a question, if you need a number, a contact information, I'll be happy and glad to provide it for you. So, Freddie, we are in our last segment. Let me just ask another question. How does a person run for office as a school board member?
They go to the county superintendent's office. They get a governing board packet. County superintendent's office.
This is still linked to the school system,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. They get the packet, and then they got to register with county elections, a nonpartisan committee, so that they can formally form their committee and then actually run.
The person running has to form a committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Form a committee, a finance committee as well, because you're going to be dealing with finances, and there's certain laws and protocols that you must follow when you run for public office, because there's going to be individuals that are going to be receiving donations from the community, from individuals. So you want to make sure you're in compliance with both state and federal mandates.
So how does it happen that a person ends up running for a particular district? Do you run for the district where you live? Can you run for districts outside of where you live?
You run for districts from where you live, in your community, in your neighborhoods, is where you run for that specific position.
And within this scope of the school system, what positions are there in addition to, so is it just, I assume that there has to be more than just board members, or am I assuming wrong? What is the structure of the educational system at the district level for which it is necessary for folks to run?
Well, you have the governing board members. You'll have a board president. That's the president of the governing board. You have a vice president, like myself, of the governing board. So there's positions within that you're appointed by the governing board members themselves. Outside of the district, you have, of course, the state superintendent. You have the county superintendent. You have governing board members at the county level for the community colleges. You have board of regents at the university level. So you have different positions, different opportunities to get involved and to be part of that educational process.
Now, this whole structure of positions that people can run for, is there a website where people can go and kind of learn more about it?
Absolutely. You can go to the county superintendent's office and just check and of all the available positions that are coming up, because we have an election coming up this November, and there you can see the different vacancies that are on their website as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have to believe, obviously, that this may be a little overwhelming for an individual who wants to run for office if they have never run. And I have to believe that within the system of the district, there must be some help. I mean, I assume that a person can reach out to some board members already there and kind of be coached and kind of be led through the process.
Absolutely. There's the superintendent at the district. You have the assistant superintendents, members of the community. I myself, I didn't know anything about the election process, about the educational process, and I was encouraged to run by Mickey Diaz, who was a advocate, a community member that was very involved in the process, encouraged me to run. Me dijo, tú necesitas correr por esta posición. I go, I know nothing about nothing. I've already graduated, but she encouraged me.
So that's exactly what a question I was going to say. So you graduate from a university, which you basically acquire a ton of knowledge, but that in itself, it doesn't quite educate you or reach that as the sphere of running for office. So this is something in addition to that you kind of have to get up to speed and learn the system.
Yes, and feel encouraged and feel empowered and know that you can make a difference. One person can make a difference. We truly believe as educators.
Right.
We always, tell our teachers, you're one teacher, and you as a teacher can shape a child and that child can change the world. So let's change the world together. And by running for these key positions, we can make a difference in the lives of our children, of our community, of our families, and make them the very best.
Okay, so now you are at Ellison Junior High School District.
Sí, Ellison Junior High School District.
And right now, Nora Gutierrez, who
Sí.
was invited to the show, and
Yes.
obviously she had another commitment, is she the superintendent
Sí.
of the district?
She is the superintendent of the district and is doing a phenomenal job and has brought many successful programs that are empowering our families, like the American Dream Academy. We have the Lighthouse Academy that helps with our dropout prevention children to keep them in school. We have the University High, which is one of the top performing schools in the state of Arizona, in which every child has an opportunity to participate. So it's not just based on cut scores. If you have the ganas, if you say, hey, I want to try this, I want to be challenged at the next level, you have an opportunity to be part of our amazing University High program. But all that comes with empowerment. One person, one vote. Un voto es tu voz. We can make a difference together.
You know, it's very, very interesting. And recently we had another show about education, right? And one of the things that I said that I was very, very much impressed is that even if parents don't know the system these days, there is so many resources. It's unbelievable the amount of resources that are within our community, within the educational system, that even when parents don't know the system, they don't have to worry about it. All they have to do is go where the help is at, correct?
Correct, absolutely. But there's so many ways that our families, our moms, our abuelitas can empower their children. Just having cena, having un desayuno, having a conversation, un cafecito, and talking to the children and encouraging them to run and having that conversation can make the difference between them going or not going and continuing their education and being involved in the political system.
So the superintendent, in this case, Nora Gutierrez, what is her function basically?
What she does is she does an amazing job. She looks at all of our precious hidden gems that we have in our district, and she makes sure that they're shining and that they're being successful and that they're graduating, they're continuing their education. She's taking care of our children. They're our future, and she's done a phenomenal job making sure they're empowered, making sure they feel great about themselves, and making sure that they have the confidence to continue their education.
Right. Now, is superintendent a paid position or volunteer?
Sí, that's a paid position.
That's a paid position.
Sí.
Now, Corina Madruga has also been very, very helpful to me in getting to guest speakers and issue experts. Is she still the president of the board?
Yes, she's still an amazing board president. She has a strong vision of academic excellence and has done a phenomenal job leading our district into the next academic level.
I am pretty sure that what happens in the Ellison district is pretty typical of what's happening in other districts of predominantly Latino students. Now, I heard that we are something like 30+% Latinos in Arizona. We're 40+% Latinos in Maricopa County, but it's over 50% of Latino students K through 12.
You are correct.
That is very impressive.
And even at the elementary level, we even have a higher percentage of Latino children. So they are coming. They are coming. They are the future.
The percentage at the elementary?
I know it's over 50%.
Over 50. That is
at the elementary level.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, what is your impression at the school level, in your involvement as a board member and kind of like in the day-to-day at school? What is the morale about students pursuing higher education? I know that Francisca told us that in general it is very, very encouraging to see so many Latinos running for office. How about you, in your perspective, right where you live, in terms of morale for Latino students pursuing higher education?
I think the morale is good because our graduation rate has increased. We no longer have, like in the mid-90s, 80% of our Hispanic males dropping out of high school. That's no longer an issue in our community. We have over 90%, 95, 96% of them that are graduating.
Amazing.
So now they're feeling empowered. Now they're going on and continuing their education at the community colleges, at the universities, or at the vocational programs, but they're continuing their education and they're feeling empowered because we have educators that care for our children, that connect with our families, and make a difference in our community. And that's where it's
very
at. That's
encouraging.
Where it starts.
Let's close the show. We have about a minute, about a minute to close it. What would you tell the community and in general, and then specifically to some in terms of running for office for board members?
I would tell our community, I would tell our moms, our abuelitas, our tias to be involved. And involvement can mean many things. It could be just having a dinner and having a conversación, a conversation with your children, with your family. Involvement can be just visiting a school play or talking, visiting the classroom. The importance of voting, the importance of being involved and running for these positions are key because we have to educate and empower our children coming up. Over 50% of our elementary are Hispano children.
Amazing.
And they need to see the role models, their tios, their tias, their moms, sus mamás, running for these positions, continuing their education, because if our children and grandchildren see that, they're going to continue it. They're going to make a difference.
Thank you so much. Freddie Villalon, a board member in Ellison Junior High School District for 18 years. Thank you for your service. That is a great service.
My pleasure.
For that community. Thanks so much.
Gracias.
You know, before we leave you today, I want to let you know that we are going to be showing a movie by Dr. Pete Dimas. And this is a documentary. We're going to be showing it, episode 1. It's the series is Arizona's Mexican Heritage. Arizona's Mexican Heritage on Westgate in Glendale, in Tempe, Phoenix Metro Center, and Arizona Mills in Tempe. Please visit our page at AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection for all the information. Thank you for joining the show today. This is all the time we have for now. Have a great day.